Hello everybody, welcome along to Mantel Farm here on YouTube. 2 weeks ago we had a virgin queen in our WBC just over there. We had a queen cell in here that hadn't yet hatched. We'd got the mated queen from the WBC in this particular box just here, and our national hive had produced quite a number of queen cells, so we got rid of those. So last week Roger on his own came out here and had a look at our bees. Started with our WBC hive and worked his way through the hives until he got to this one here. And this one presented him with something that worried us all quite considerably, because what was inside here, well, let's take a look. This is what happened last Wednesday. What's happening, Roger?
Right, well, so I've come to do an inspection here and I've started on this admittedly pretty scruffy looking nuke, and I think I found European Foulbrood. And the brood is very patchy and there are a lot of there's the queen, misaligned larvae. They shouldn't be. I mean, there's some that are sort of melting down in the bottom of the cells. There's a lot that are, I mean, they're not wriggling, they're just not lying properly, and they're kind of vaguely yellow. But yeah, they're not, I mean, they're discoloured, they're not lying properly in the cells. As far as I can tell, this is classic symptoms of EFB.
As you could see, those cells were looking really yellow, some of them looking really quite nasty. So we did a test using one of the test kits, the lateral flow kits that you can buy for EFB, and that came back negative. Well, Roger had actually arranged by chance, as he was selling some of his nukes at an auction, he needed to get his hives that he was selling, his nukes, checked over by a bee inspector. So he'd actually arranged for a bee inspector to come to his apiary, which is only around the corner, the next day. So I gave them a call and asked whether or not they would be happy, as we're only around the corner, to come and check our bees out at some point on the Thursday, and they obliged to come and check them out. Now, they went through all the hives systematically. All of the others were looking okay. They had a look through this, looked at the frames that were particularly nasty, and then looked at the frame the queen was on. We were seeing really nice segmented C-shaped larvae, and the queen was laying really well, and those bees were tending to those on that particular frame. Anyway, they did another EFB test. Turns out that that one also was negative. I asked how often that happens, could it be a false negative, and they said they're very good tests. To have two that actually came back as negative is very unusual. So they then cleared the site of saying that we had got any problems with EFB, and the conclusion that they came to is that it was probably neglected brood. Remember, this hive's been without a queen for a while. The population of this hive is very small, so they weren't overly concerned. So when we look in here today, what we're going to hoping to see is capped brood, healthy brood on the frame that we saw the young larva on with the queen. And we reckon, or they reckon, and I think we're all in agreement with this, that this hive is able to rear up that small amount of brood that she is laying up, because it is such a small colony. Hopefully they will see capped brood, healthy brood, in all stages when we look in this week. And they mentioned the frame that had got the nasty grubs and various things on it. Probably what will happen with that is it'll actually get cleaned out. The bees will probably remove those as the hive grows in number, and they should tidy it up. The frames weren't particularly nice, and we're planning to get rid of them and replace them when the colony is strong enough.
And that was the frame that was our oh my god moment last week. Ouch. So they're
starting to clear it.
Carted away the corpses, or most of them. Still an odd one here and there. But yeah, I mean, that will progress as the population increases, hopefully. we sort of felt that we might need to take the super off this one, didn't we?
We did, yes. One was quite full, wasn't it?
Because one was quite full of oilseed rape honey, and that will crystallise. It probably already has, because we had 2 days of coolish weather. Let's open and lift a few out and see how solid it's got so far. And there's a lot of bees up here, so maybe it's all right.
Oh, that looks okay.
But I mean, that is definitely ready for extraction. There's absolutely no point leaving it in any longer, because it will just, as I say, it just goes solid. It will crystallise, particularly as the weather has deteriorated somewhat since the weekend even.
Yeah.
What I was going to say about having the old frames in here, once they're, I mean, if we didn't have 5, I'd say take them out and freeze them, because after a brood break, i.e. swarm time, new queen starts laying, the Varroa that were on the bees would be desperate to get into cells. So if you just put 1 or 2 old frames in with brood on, with comb, drawn comb, then the queen will lay in those first, and then you can wait until they're sealed and take them out after about 5 days or a week or so.
Yeah.
Well, any time up before they emerge, really.
Right.
And you will then reduce your Varroa population dramatically, because they'll all have dived off the bees at the first available time to.
Oh, that's a good tip.
To breed. I read that in one of the books recently. So I mean, it's not my idea. It's something I recently read. Right. So that's all stored. So that's going well outside shortly. This is where it becomes manipulation. Come on, girls, you're in the way. Stand aside. Feel the heat on that through the back of my glove. Yeah, we've got larvae in those cells. So she's laying. Oh my word! Queen cups all over the place.
Really? They were cold, didn't they?
Well, they're made with old wax. These are old combs, and they've
reused the
chewed bits off the wax that's there and reused it and combined it with a certain amount of new as well, because well, that's basically what they do, I think.
So are they doing this because they want to swarm?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, we haven't found anything in any of them yet.
No.
It's possible that they actually
want to supersede?
Made these before the queen was mated.
Oh, possibly.
And then sort of got this far and then suddenly realised that there was no point, because they didn't have any eggs that they could put in them, or anybody who lay any eggs in them. So I don't really know. But I mean, again, there's nothing in that one. Again, there she is at the top.
Oh,
on the
yeah.
top bar.
Yeah.
Looks quite big and strapping. Well fed.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to put both those frames out. I'm going to put one of these foundations inside.
Yep.
In the hopes that they draw some decent worker comb on it. We've got a whole lot of half cells on that side.
Yeah.
Yes, I know I'm probably splitting the brood, but at this time of year it shouldn't matter.
So is there any need to manipulate the frame layout in that super? Or do you think
I'm just thinking that myself. I think I'm going to put some of these empty ones nearer the middle. I don't know whether it'll work or not.
Are they drawn with? I suppose we'd have to have a look, but looks like they're doing something with these, because they're getting quite fat, aren't they?
See, what I'm thinking is that one I could do with putting there, because they're filling it into the space that they should be drawing this one into.
Right.
So I'm definitely going to swap these two round on this side anyway. But yeah, I mean, that one is actually nearly full on that side, and quite well filled on that side as well. So they get in there. It's just they're using what the combs they've got rather than drawing the ones that we want them to.
Yeah. Is that pretty normal though, because they're the ones that involve the least effort, I suppose?
Yeah, absolutely. As far as they're concerned, it's much more efficient to use combs that are already drawn, and they draw them out a lot fatter given the chance, because that's their easiest option. Right, so that's that side, which is next to another previously drawn comb, and on this side we've got 1/2 inch extra, and they've built it across into the space where the other comb should be, so I'm going to put it in there the other way round. If
you find that they're doing that and you put them against sort of like the wall like you're doing here, they can't draw it out any further, so does that encourage them to cap it over?
Yeah. And if you put it too close, like, so they can't actually get down between, then they'll actually chew back some of the frame to make it fit, to give themselves room to get down there.
Yeah.
Because they want a bee space to work on it. And again, we've got some bridging comb there that I'll just take off. Right, so that's that and that and that. That's all sorted and done, and I'm going to take the frames out of this one and shake the bees off.
So for those watching that would say, oh, you could use portable bee escapes to clear it, do you think it's fairly time critical that you get it done rather than waiting for the bees to do their own?
You don't really want to be using porter escapes with oilseed rape honey, because in the couple of days it takes to clear the bees, the stuff goes solid, and then you're back to however many frames of foundation it is, because you've had to scrape all the combs off, and then you've got to heat it to get it liquid and strain it, and you don't want to be heating it if it's not absolutely necessary, because it increases the levels of HMF or whatever it is. So if they were completely capped, then I would say maybe use a brush. But when they're not capped, all you do is you get your brush full of honey, your bristles of your brush covered in honey, and then the bees stick to it, and everybody gets annoyed, including the beekeeper. So that's why I'm shaking and flicking.
So do you think should be mated by now?
Well, it depends entirely on the weather. Had it been a nice day yesterday and the day before, then probably, but as it hasn't been a nice day since Sunday, we can't really say what's going on. I mean, it's not a particularly nice day now, hence all the drones are still at home. I kind of think that they feel that they have potentially a queen. Well, can't see anything in there so far, but then virgins and newly mated queens are quite notorious for running in front of the inspection, so you very often find them on the last frame that you pull out, and if not, quite likely on the side of the box. Can't see a queen in there, so we're not certain, but they look fairly sanguine about everything. Oh my goodness, look at the state of that queen cell though. We've got a sealed one down there as well. Don't need that. Well, I don't think they were swarmed yesterday, and I don't think they've gone today, because we'd have probably heard them. Oh God, this makes life complicated. This means we've got to do it really carefully. Trying not to leave anything behind, because they do tend to rebuild again if you leave the base of the cut there.
If people were doing this or in this situation at home and they don't see the queen, is it just best to just destroy those cells, look for eggs and assume she's still there?
Well, the best bet of all is to, if you can, put a couple of those queen cells into a nucleus box, and then you're safe either way. You know, if your queen is still there, then you've got another week before she's ready to swarm again.
Yeah.
And if she's already gone, you've got something you can replace her with in 3 weeks' time. I don't think anybody's gone from here because there's just so many bees in here now. In my early years of beekeeping, I just continually rip down queen cells. I think it does work, because if you can't just keep putting them in nukes. It's
ridiculous, isn't it?
It's ridiculous. You wind up with so many colonies that you don't want and don't need. It just gets silly.
So how far do you think these would have been off swarming?
I think if the sun had come out this afternoon, they'd have been gone.
Yeah.
If not, they'd have waited till tomorrow morning and been off, probably almost regardless of the weather. While they do prefer to go on a nice weather, if they've been held up by a rainy day or two, or cold wind or whatever, then at the first halfway reasonable opportunity, then they'll be off. Once the cells are sealed, they're definitely looking to go. We have caught this lot in the nick of time, as it were.
You say to those watching that, would be worried about looking in the hive if it's slightly, the weather's not ideal, but they're a bit worried that the last time they tore a load of queen cells down, they got to get in. They should just get in there, really, shouldn't they?
Yeah. I mean, if the worst comes to worst, trot down the road, buy yourself a golf umbrella.
Yeah.
Pitch that over your beehive, and do it under there.
Yeah.
I mean, a golf umbrella is probably about 15 quid. That's two pounds of honey at the end of the day. If your bees swarm now, and it's a big prime swarm like this one would have been, your chances of actually getting a decent honey crop are quite reduced.
Yeah.
Even this early in the year. I mean, it's the difference between maybe 3 or 4 supers full of honey and 1, which, on the basis of £30 per super in weight of honey, at say, I don't know, £8 a pound. I don't know what honey's being sold for at the moment.
It's probably about that, yeah.
That is quite a lot of money that you're foregoing for the sake of not rushing out and buying a golf umbrella.
Yeah.
Right, so we must have about 20 there. A couple of 3 of them sealed already.
Yeah.
Sometimes you tear down queen cells a few times and then they stop making them. But then on other occasions they just keep doing it once they've started, and in that situation you just have to keep going through and tear them out, unless you actually finally get fed up with it and say, oh sod it, I'll put somebody in a nuke and see what happens. Oh, you little herberts, look at them trying to get in through that vent.
So that's robbing, isn't it?
That's intended robbing.
If you like what we're up to, then give us a thumbs up, and if you like our content, then subscribe and you'll get the latest information from us, latest videos. And if you feel any of the stuff we're doing is worthy of a share, then go ahead and do that. That's always very helpful. And if you've got any questions, anything you'd like us to discuss, anything you'd like us to try and explain further, then you can leave them in the comments below any of our videos. I read all of those comments and will reply where necessary. And if it's something that requires further explanation, then I'll always be happy to make a video on that point. So until our next video, all the very best from here at Mantel Farm. Take care, enjoy your beekeeping, and we'll see you again soon.